Have you always wanted to start your own business? Do you have an innovative idea or an invention, but just don't know how to turn it into a company? Are you already in business and need some help growing? The BRF's Entrepreneurial Accelerator Program can help. At EAP, we work alongside you, helping you with things like financial modeling, funding strategy, pitch preparation, and marketing strategy. So what are you waiting for? Go to eapla.com today and set up a time to talk with our team. Let EAP help you launch or grow your business in North Louisiana today.
Welcome back to On the Cusp. I've got my co-host Matt Snyder with me here today. He's got one of his friends with us. So Matt,
yeah, I'm really excited about this one, man. Long time coming. My friend Ryan Williams, Seedlinks.
Yep.
Seedlinks
Seedlinks Behavior Management. Yep.
Okay. And that's what, when I met you, that was your primary thing. And that company was really, I feel like when I met you, that company was really starting to explode.
It was, and it's a testament to healthcare in this area. There are some things that we do really well around here, and healthcare is one of them. With the Willis-Knighton system, with the Ochsner system, with behavior health, we do that extremely well. We probably do it better than anybody else in our region. So
that's good to hear.
Seedlinks was taken off, and I got into behavior management, and people asked me, how did I get into behavior management? I thought I wanted to be a teacher after I got out of the Air Force, and I was working at Woodlawn High School. And just the trauma that the kids were going through there. I mean, I had a kid who was 18 who was working at the casino and coming to school during the day. Working overnight and coming to school during the day.
Whoa.
And that's a lot of pressure. And people asked me when I was teaching what was one of the hardest things I ever had to do. And that was assign a kid homework that didn't have a home. So when you're going through that and you're seeing that and you're dealing with that, it touches you. And then you realize that you're inside of four walls all day trying to change a kid's life, but you're sending them right back into that environment. So I figured the way that I changed their lives is if I helped them change their environments and the scope of how they were living and taught them better, showed them better, and gave them better chances and better opportunities. And so I left the school system and got into social services, and I never looked back. And since then, I don't think I ever had to work I haven't worked another day in my life since then.
Dude, Woodlawn at that time had a really good environment around it. That's Tisdale years.
Well, that's after Tisdale. That's when he had actually went over to become the athletic director. This is Cedric Ellis's first year as principal. But the environment and the culture.
Dude, I love those. I mean, those guys have that spirit like you do.
Both of them do. And it was there. And you know, Dr. Ellis was doing an amazing job of trying to rebrand the school and bring it back to its glory days. But, you know, it was just so much going on in the community. Mm-hmm. And if you know what Woodlawn is, it's on Wingate. It's right in the middle of Cedar Grove. And there was just so much going on around it to where, you know, if you were going to make an impact, it was just going to have to be in conjunction with what the school had going on.
When you say behavioral science,
behavioral
management,
yep.
Okay. What exactly is the service that you're providing?
So when you look at that service and you say that work, because a lot of people get caught up on like behavior. You know, anger is natural. We all gonna get angry. It's what you do once you're angry that determines what's gonna happen after that. So when we talk about services, we talk about assertive community treatment, you know, where we go out in the community and we teach people how to get jobs, or it may be somebody who's dealing with having a mental disability to where we teach them how to ride the bus or make groceries or something like that. They're normal people just like us. They just need a little more help to live inside the community. You're talking about a mental health rehab where it's a kid who's having a behavior issue who probably just can't sit still in class. And this kid probably doesn't have a dad at home or probably is in foster care or something like that. So we're coming in, interjecting services and making sure that they get the same chances and opportunities as everybody else.
So
and they're
you're
not
able to work with I think we've talked, you work with the school system on
we have contracts
identifying these children. And instead of saying, Timmy's a bad seed, chunk him out of school or spin him, they come to talk to you.
Exactly. So instead of saying, you know what, Timmy's a failure and he just can't get it, instead of asking, you know, Timmy, what's wrong with you? Hey, Timmy, what happened to you so we can help you? You know, because Timmy still has to live in this world. You know, and if Timmy doesn't get what he needs, eventually he's going to maybe turn to a life of crime, violence, maybe hurt somebody else, hurt my kids, your kids. And we just can't continue to have that much hurt. At some point in time, somebody has to be a healer. And that's where my company comes in at. And I look at us as a bunch of change agents. So I train and teach people how to save and help other people. And that's always been a goal of Seedlinks Behavior Management, to always come in and do that at all times.
So how many children or people are you in contact and working with at any given time?
I'll tell you this, if I could give you a number, that means I'm not doing my job. It's just so many, too many to count. We all need help. It's just that some people need a little bit more help than others. So if I gave you a number, that means that I'm not doing my job. If I can count them, it's a lot. No, it's a lot.
Kids at school.
Yeah.
This is a lot of the students.
You're talking about, I've been in business the last 7-8 years. You're talking about hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kids, that we've been able to impact. And that goes into the community service efforts. That goes into the backpack drives. That goes into going into the schools and interjecting things. I was the president of this program called All Pro Dads, where it was important to get dads back into the schools. I'm calling home to speak to mom. Well, call and talk to dad too. And the statistics in the study showed us that when dads are more involved in schools, kids are less likely to have discipline problems. They're more likely to graduate. They're more likely to have more confidence. And I'm an active father with my kids in school. So I know that to be true and to be a fact. When an active dad is involved inside of a school with their child, that kid is more likely to prosper and excel.
Now, when you started down this path, I mean, a lot of people would look at that and say, well, that's not a real business on that. So you had to get a lot of feedback. Oh, you'll never make it in that. What kept you going?
The fact that my mom moved here in 1987, she moved to Shreveport, and she moved into Grimmer Drive Apartments. It was me, her, and my two brothers, and she moved here with basically nothing, and the community took care of us. The community made sure that we were not out doing things that were bad. The mentors in the community made sure that my brothers and I played sports. So when I looked at the economic impact of it, I thought about that it was never about the money or the income. It was always about the outcome. So I always felt that if I did the right thing and I was giving a good service and I was being true to myself and what I had went to school for and what I had studied, that the income would then come. But it was never about the income. I always felt like that God would supply. And he has. I hadn't missed a meal or bill since then. So man, it's been awesome. And like I said, I have yet to go to work.
Ryan is the guy that gives back too. He's not going to say that as much as he should. We met probably about 6 years ago, I'm going to guess. And we were still both earlier in our careers. I guess I was about 3 or 4 years into my career. Ryan was a couple years, 2, 3, 4 years. And immediately you can see that Ryan cares about utilizing his success to make the community better. A fun story was, along the way I have Crawfest, and I'm like, I want to do something really special. And we've talked a lot about diversity. Of course. And I believe one of the struggles in our community is getting people to cross that line in business and social settings more often. And so we had a friend group that was building around a cause that was growing there. I said, you know what, Crawfest got to get more diverse. But I said, but it's got to get diverse and still have the spirit of fun and awesome, not just get diverse to get diverse. You see that so much, and it's so phony. I said, who would help me do this? So a couple of us, and we called Ryan and said, Ryan, you're a Grambling guy. You've been involved at Grambling. Would you like to sponsor and be a part of trying to bring the Grambling Marching Band to Betty, Virginia Park? And he said, absolutely. So we start working, and the result was one of my proudest moments in my business. And Ryan Williams is standing on stage in the middle of Betty, Virginia Park. I think there's about at least 6,000 or 7,000 people. Yeah. And Ryan, with a full band behind him, introduces the Grambling Marching Band, and the entire Grambling Marching Band marches from Fairfield down in between 6,000 people in the middle of Betty, Virginia Park, and plays with people on top of them. Yeah. It was one of the most magical, black, white, young, old. It was one of my favorite moments of all time, and Ryan was
not giving me all the credit. There were a lot of other people that were instrumental into that. But what it did was, I mean, the sound of music, and that's what brought different people together.
That's what New Orleans does so well.
I think their music, their music scene,
it
cuts
so much
through everything.
Right, absolutely, yeah. But I mean, I'm on the economic development side, okay, and every day I have to sell Shreveport, Caddo Parish, and Northwest Louisiana. And one of the obstacles that I have is there's always something negative in the news, right? And it will always filter to the top. I don't care what you do, okay? Unless you have a conscious effort to get the good news stories to the top, okay? Which means you have to actually make a positive post, okay? What you're doing is positive, okay, for economic development. And what I want people to see is all the good things going on in our community. Because I'm gonna tell you, Shreveport's not the only one with this problem.
I agree.
Okay?
But guys like this, everybody, and I'll say this and then we'll get back to it. Everyone, every time there's a crime stat or there's a problem in our community, everybody wants to point at the top to fix it. Police chief, fix it. Mayor, fix it. Governor, fix it. Whoever. These people to fix it.
They're too far from
I'll
the
be
problem.
the number one to tell you the way crime in our community gets fixed by having a whole lot more Ryan Williams in the community.
I think so too.
And that's
Absolutely.
really, because what Ryan just explained about that troubled kid in school, you throw him out of school in the street, there's only one choice.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll say this. When it comes to, everybody may have the heart and the ability that I have, but they don't necessarily have the access that I have. That's what makes the difference. And when we talk about access, I think the way that we solve the crime problem in the city of Shreveport, you have to empower the people where the crime is. We have done a terrible job of empowering the people inside of these communities. And with the neighborhood watch, with the neighborhood community association, that's where we need to put the money and the funding in. We don't have enough police officers to patrol the streets. We can't. So my goal, or the city's goal, or the council people's goal, should be to empower the people in the community where this happened. Nobody wants to live in filth. Nobody wants to live in darkness. Nobody wants to live in crime. Well, let's empower you. Let's show you how to protect your community. Let's show you how to grow your community.
Absolutely.
Let's show you what a safe community looks like. I guarantee you, with everyone that's in this room right now, we looked at it and said, what's a safe community? You get 40, 50 different answers. But if you take those answers and you throw it on top of that problem, I guarantee you one of them will solve it. But we've done a terrible job of empowering the people inside the communities where it happens. I'll tell you this. Out of the 73 homicides, I think we're at 73, maybe 77, we've had in this city, how much healing have we had? Or who's went out to those families? Or who went? I'm in talks right now with Chief Wayne Smith and the city marshal's office, and to attach social workers to our police departments, so that when we see this awful thing that has happened, somebody's going to that family and saying, "Hey, we sympathize with you. Hey, you're making funeral arrangements. I'm going to go with you.
Right.
I'm going to help you through this process, regardless of what the crime may be. Yeah. We're helping you through this because somebody cares. There's some healing. Yep. There's some help." We don't have enough healing.
Which really differentiates our community. If we took your approach and, hey, like I said, we're no different from any other community. But if we were the community that the minute there was something like that, everybody showed up to provide help and support, okay, given where their resource level is. If that was the top story, okay, not the crime, the top story is, look what everybody did to turn out. Okay, to help this, okay, it'd be a different narrative in Shreveport. People would look at Shreveport.
The other part of Ryan's story that we haven't talked about, that's what we do on this show, is Ryan took Seedlinks, which is a very successful thing, and has turned into a serial entrepreneur like all of us. You've got a lot of other projects going on in the area too. I mean, I love that because we have to use our success to keep growing the pot. That's true. And you're doing that, and I appreciate anything that you would talk about as being on a business end, as a struggle or a big win for doing business in Shreveport.
So the elephant in the room for me always is having access to capital, right? As an African-American male, I've not had access to capital. I can sit and tell you everything that I've built, and then I'll tell you what I built it off the line of credit that I have, and you'd be like, how? It's not even possible. So I've been able to purchase 2 buildings in downtown Shreveport, renovate both of them, purchase 2 Airbnbs and 6 rent homes in the city of Shreveport with a $100,000 line of credit. That's all that I was given access to. If someone like myself had been given $1 million line of credit or having access to capital that some of my counterparts may have had, then I could have grown the entire area around me. If you go on Marshall Street, there are 2 buildings right there that I completely renovated on Marshall Street, and changed it, because if I don't buy those 2 buildings on Marshall Street, there's nothing on Marshall Street, really. I mean, you have Mario Chavez at the end. And then I even convinced my Shreveport leadership class to paint the bridge on the same street that I own 2 buildings on. And I have another mural on the side of my building. And I have a beautiful courtyard area. And I have another mural of Ruby Bridges on the other side of the building. So now you have a street in Shreveport that was essentially dead that has, Liz Swain called it the Marshall Street Mural Mile or whatever she called it. I mean, you have these beautiful murals going down Marshall Street on the street that was essentially dead. And I was able to use essentially a $100,000 line of credit that I got in 2016 to renovate these 2 buildings and put murals on them. So what I basically did was I didn't take a profit. I took what my profit would have been and invested into the area where I bought these buildings and these homes and things like that. If you turn off of 70th Street going on to Burlingame, I bought that whole little block and renovated that whole block on that street. It's 2 beautiful houses that sit on there now that families live in, that I pay taxes on the houses that they're living in, that I receive rental income from, and then even with my Airbnb properties. So I haven't had access to the capital.
You're absolutely correct. Access to capital in North Louisiana, okay, or really the South, is a problem, okay?
And I'll tell you a word that when I think of you and when I think of myself, that in our community I think is seen as a bad word that I want to change. But when I think of either of us, I think of this word, hustler.
Of course.
And right now in Shreveport, Louisiana, you'll hear certain people say, oh, he's just a hustler. We need to change that, because the hustlers are the guys that are taking the risk, that don't have access at capital that they're able to lose. They're betting on themselves. And if you want to call that a hustler, well, let me tell you, that should be a good word, not a bad word.
Yeah.
Because you are a hustler. I am a hustler. I'm tired of acting like that's a bad word. It's not. And that's how you break not having capital. People, I remember some of the leadership sitting with me 5 years into all the events and said, where is your capital? And I looked at them and I was like, what? And they're like, who is funding you? You know, they wanted to go kill my funder. And I'm like, there's no capital. I'm just a hustler, baby.
It's hard.
You know,
it's
and
hard.
they don't understand that. And I think that's right. And when you make it, then people change.
Of course.
50 Cent coming to town, you know, now he's a hero. Well, 50 Cent's a hustler. You know, there's so many.
He didn't build that business by accident.
I always say all
sitting
the
back,
old money,
letting somebody else.
all the money that you see, there was somebody along the way in that family or whatever that hustled.
Well,
and that did something different than was accepted.
I think when you say the word hustle, and you're right, it's not a bad thing. I've never felt like I lost. I'm an athlete. I'm a former athlete. I played ball my whole life. And I've never lost a game I hustled in. The score might have said something different, but I've never lost a game I hustled in. And when I would go into business, that's how I look at it. I look at it like I'm waking up every day and I'm tying on my shoes and I'm going to play ball. Now, I don't know who my opponent is. I don't know if I'm going to, what the score is going to be. But at the end of the day, when I've given all and I don't have anything left, because each and every day I have nothing. When I pull in my driveway at my house, it's nothing left.
Right.
You know, I have just enough to give to my kids and my wife when I walk through the door. But everything on the outside of the door, it stays on the outside of the door. I have whatever I have left, I give to them. And so every day is a fight. It's a hustle. Not just to stay in business, because I employ at least 70 to 80 people in the city. You know, so, you know, making sure that I employ them, and then also the way the income turns around, because the Airbnb properties I only have to be clean.
Yep.
My rental properties have to be painted. You know, I buy appliances. And anything and everything that I do when it comes to a contractor is a local contractor. I don't go to East Texas. I don't go to South Arkansas. I stay right here locally because I know what it means to keep local dollars in this area. It's very important that we do. So when I'm buying appliances for homes or I'm getting a roof, it's local people. And I'm asking them, hey, you know, I'm checking your license and your information, or are you local? How many local people are you? I'm asking these questions because as a local guy, a local kid, local boy, I want to make sure, local young man, I want to make sure that these people in the community are being taken care of.
Yep, and that's what generates jobs.
Of course.
You know, to me, in economic development, and Matt and I really struggle on this a lot of times. You know, you want to change Shreveport? generate some jobs.
Of course.
Do what you're supposed to do, okay? As you say, buy local. You generate a job, you won't have half as many young men and women that need your services, okay?
We're generating jobs in the club, Dave.
Well,
Dave always begs them. He wants a bunch of factory workers. I want more.
you want more entertainment.
Yeah.
You want more.
Ryan. Hey,
I'm across
Ryan's
them both.
redoing. He is.
I'm
He's
across the boat.
both.
So I own Uptown Bar and Lounge in the courtyard, and we employ about 15 to 20 people there, and that's servers, that's bartenders, that's
Right.
club managers.
Those are important jobs.
Of
I will
course,
never
of
take
course.
anything away from them.
And then I also have the professional jobs, which the licensed professional counselors, the doctors, the nurses, the secretaries. So I have it on that side too. And then also with my rental property and my Airbnb property, and I employ those people as well. I pay a lot of taxes in Shreveport, a ton, in city and property, city taxes and parish taxes
Yep.
that I pay a lot of. Do I feel like I'm getting the best return? I don't think so. I think as a business owner in this town, I can get a better return. And you have to ask the question, what does a better return look like? A better return looks like better infrastructure. You know, having something. I had to repave my own sidewalks to my nightclub, to my bar and lounge. I repaved my own sidewalks. You know, and then when I repaved the sidewalks, the city was like, "Well, who did you get permission from?" Nobody. I asked y'all to do it. Y'all were not going to do it.
I couldn't have somebody fall. Couldn't have somebody fall in the
I
hole.
tried to paint a pavilion before Crawfest one time. They didn't like it.
And I understand the liability and the risk, but we got to be open for business. I'll say this all the time. Shreveport is not open for business, and we have to be more business friendly. We are centrally located, and we're in a place right now where nobody else in the country is. Right? So we have at least 10 to 15 million people around us between Dallas, Houston, New Orleans, Jackson, Mississippi, and Little Rock. We're centrally located. We're right underneath Arkansas, and we sit east of Texas, right? And we have I-20, I-220, I-49. We have a port, and we have a train and cart system probably that can magnify anybody else's in this area. Only thing we're lacking is in the air transportation, but that can be fixed too. Like who's fighting for us? Who's jockeying for us? President Biden just passed this infrastructure bill that I want to know how many of those dollars are going to hit Shreveport.
Right.
You know, when is that money going to trickle down and come to us? Because our infrastructure needs it. We're at least 40 years behind when it comes to our infrastructure.
Louisiana will never have as much money as it has access to right now.
I agree. I agree.
It's a true statement.
Let's get it to work.
It's got to go to work.
When the
okay?
last time have we passed a bond in this city for the betterment and infrastructure betterment and the change of life?
Yeah.
Have you seen our parks? Our parks need to be upgraded. Our parkways need to be upgraded. There are some things that we can do to make the city more equitable, more entertaining, more job friendly, more company friendly. You know, are we courting the big logistic companies to come here and telling them, hey, listen, you can hop on I-20 and go east or west, and you can hit some of the major cities in the country. North, south, east,
it doesn't
or
get
west.
any better from my perspective in economic development, from a location standpoint in Shreveport. It doesn't matter. We can reach anybody, okay? With a gentleman that was just here, runs an international waste management business, okay, from Shreveport, and most people don't even realize that.
We're in a good spot because we got a lot of good people in Shreveport that care about Shreveport.
Yep.
And we're glad you're here, man. And I really appreciate you coming in today, man. This is awesome. I was glad to see you. It's been too long.
Yeah.
Too long, bro.
Thanks for coming, man.
Appreciate you, sir.
Yeah.